Hi, Sydney.
Oh, you're doing that? Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So, what did you want to come talk to me about today?
I just wanted to talk about something that happened to me a few years ago that I've noticed has kind of been bothering me every so often.
Okay.
I had a kind of a falling out with a friend, and I've noticed lately that I used to be a lot more open and very welcoming of meeting new people. I made a huge effort, especially in the youth group setting, to be like the first person to greet people and establish that relationship. But I've noticed after this huge fallout with somebody who was really important in my life, I'm not as open as I used to be. I'm not as ready to jump out there and kind of make that first connection with people. And I don't want to say that it's created trust issues, but it's kind of what I've been feeling lately.
Okay, so you're feeling like you don't know if it's really trust issues, but you're still not being very open to other people.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just, it's been 4 years. I've gone to college. I've changed as a person. My environment's changed.
Yeah.
I'm no longer at youth group. But, when I'm in places where there's an opportunity for me to meet new people and make that connection, I've just become more reserved. And I'm not sure if that's just, I'm getting old. I'm a little bit older and I made my close friendships. I'm not exactly looking to make that connection, or if it is like I'm just not super but I do have good, strong relationships with people still, so I know that it's not like a complete trust issue.
Yeah, and relationships are super important, and that's really good that you are having a solid relationship still. Can you tell me a little bit more about the woman that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, she was somebody who was a friend, and then she's about 4 years older than me, 4 or 5. So she was kind of that person in my life that was like a mentor, and she was just one step ahead of me in life. So I'd be like, oh, I'm going through this, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just went through that a few years ago. Yeah. So we really we became really great friends, and she was like a mentor to me. She was there for me through everything. Like, you name it, she was there. When I was losing my grandma, she rushed to church to come see if I was okay. So we were really close, and she was kind of that first person that really gave me confidence in life. And then around the time she was graduating college and getting ready to get married, I started to hear from other people that she wasn't as nice as I thought she was. And I didn't really think much of that because people will say things, but then I kind of saw it myself, how she treated me, how she treated others, and I would go to her repeatedly and tell her how I felt, and she'd acknowledge what I said, but then she wouldn't really change. And so it was a lot of times of not feeling heard. And then finally it kind of came to a point where she had just been so rude to people, especially people within her own family, who I just kind of decided I didn't want that influence in my life. And so I met with her about 4 years ago, around this time actually, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not really, this is how you've made me feel. I never really, I didn't go in for an attack. I just told her I felt, and that I didn't want her to be a mentor in my life. And she didn't attack me, but she definitely didn't accept what I was saying because it meant that she was in the wrong, and she had a hard time with that.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier you were feeling like you didn't really have any troubles with her when she was mentoring you, and then all of a sudden there was some talk about her not being what she exactly presented herself to be.
Yeah.
Is that correct, kind of?
Yeah. It definitely went from, I kind of had her on a pedestal, and everybody adored her, I adored her, and then it kind of was like a crashing down
Yeah, and when did that trigger with you that maybe that wasn't right? I mean, you can take people's ideas and thoughts, but when did you actually start taking that to heart and actually kind of realizing it for yourself?
When she wasn't really in communication with me as much, but I think it really hit me when it was a night where it was like the second time I kind of came to her and said, hey, you know, I haven't heard from you a lot, and hearing from her was important to me. But I let her know, I'm like, I understand, you're really busy, I'm not expecting you to be there every moment I need you, but there's been some distance, and so we had just gotten done with that talk. It felt good, it felt like she heard me, but then we actually went inside, and she was moving stuff out to her grandparents' house because she was getting married soon, and she got so nasty with her mom. That was the first, like, genuinely nasty. She was yelling at her mom over small things, and so that in my mind was kind of that moment where I went, okay, this isn't the person that I thought this was. So yeah,
Okay.
kind of when that happened.
Okay, and so from that that experience, you kind of broke off that relationship. Do you mind if you tell me how you felt about after you stopped making contact with her?
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. She still had things coming up that I was involved in, so communication didn't completely shut off, but what happened was no. Go ahead. Yeah, so contact didn't completely shut off, but it was really scary. It took a lot of coaxing from other people to get me to finally break that off with her. But yeah, the communication was really poor. She did lash out at me a few times later about other things, and then she kind of used me in her. That was a whole other thing. Was I was a part of her wedding day, but I wasn't actually like her bridesmaid. But she called me her personal assistant. So a lot of people were like, she used you, and I felt used, but. So yeah, and then communication eventually, I think we hung out one time the next year, kind of as my way to see where she was at, but yeah, and she really has seemed, and she's very hostile when I'm around, and seems like she acts like I've really hurt her, and that freaks me out almost.
Yeah, because do you feel like she kind of hurt you in a way?
Oh yeah, she definitely, and I've gotten to the point where I've forgiven her and I don't hold a grudge anymore. But what bothers me is she acts as though I hurt her when I asked her, I was like, is there anything I've done? And I can think of a few things that she thought I did, but I know that were misinterpretations on her end.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother tangent I could go on. But yeah, so it's definitely hard. I still get this feeling of what have I done? And feeling like I'm to blame for things that were her doing.
Yeah. So from all of that you've told me, what I kind of gather from that is that just from that whole experience, you kind of feel like you were used and kind of are the one to blame when you really shouldn't be the one to blame in a way. Subconsciously you're feeling that. And then also just that you're having a little struggle with those trusting other people now lately. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's weird because, I met my boyfriend after that, and so we have a really good, strong, trusting relationship, so I know that it hasn't deteriorated my ability to form relationships, but casual contact with people on a daily basis, I'm not as open and welcoming as I used to be.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that it's really great that you still have those abilities to trust people in like relationships and solid relationships, and maybe it's something that we want to discuss further about trying to help you maybe be more trusting to people that you may be first meeting and stuff in our next session.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.